Hello, guys. This episode, I'm going to be talking about my favorite game in the world ever, which is Super Mario Galaxy, and then Super Mario Galaxy 2. But I think I like the first one better. That's my preference. But why, you may ask, right? Why is this the number one game in the world? I mean, rated by me. I'm the critic here, not the world. But let's see. First of all, it's in freaking space. Come on, especially as a kid, I think I really gravitated towards this because I thought space was cool. Who doesn't think space was cool or is cool? Space is pretty lit and it's somewhere that I don't think we'll ever really get to, but it's there looking at us every day. So it's pretty fascinating. Am I right? Also, I don't like the lighting. Okay, I'm back. I hope you stayed tuned so far, even though it was trash lighting. But now we're a little bit cozier up in here, just like how the freaking game felt, bro. That game felt so cozy. I would go in there just to play and feel like I'm like not home, gang. You're collecting star bits. You're flying from planet to planet. The gravity changes per planet. Like it creates its own little theme. Actually, one really cool thing is when I started making music, I related it to like how these planets were each different. Like I wanted each song to feel like how one of these each individual planets would. Like I was like, for Super Mario Galaxy, each level has like 5 or 6 different planets, and some are more grand, some are like stupid and basic, some there's like multiple of the same ones. I'm like, that's how I want my music to be, bro. Like its own little like realm where yeah, it all feels like that recognizable. Like it's that much of a change from each other, but they're all planets at the end of the day. So my second biggest point of why I like this game is because of the lumas. They're the little star things, but they were first in this game. And they've been in many more since. But this is where they're originated from. This is where the lore is. This is where all of it is. They're home. They're these things. They're these things. Why did that take so long? They're these. That's a luma, and there's like a lot of different ones. There's lumalees. There's lumabops. There's like other ones. I don't know. There's like a big fat purple one too, which I think has its own name. But whatever. I don't care about that one. But that brings me to another little point too, is I did a little bit of research before this, and that the big Luma name, the purple fat one, is Lubba, which is only in Super Mario Galaxy 2. It like helps control the ship, but it's not in the first one, so it's not really that special. I don't really like it. It's ugly. But it's been in like other games like Super Mario 3D World. Captain Toad. Oh, I have the game for it somewhere. My brother might be borrowing it right now. But it's I have the Captain Toad game, and Captain Toad first appeared in Super Mario Galaxy, but now he has his own spin-off game, and he's in Super Mario Galaxy. I mean Super Mario 3D, Super Mario Odyssey. Oh, why can't I freaking talk? Super Mario 3D World and Super Mario Odyssey has Captain Toad in it, but he started in the galaxies. He would drive around the spaceship that looks like a mushroom, and he has a mushroom head. So I mean, he knew what he was doing. He really had his bucks up, didn't he? But then Luma itself, it says this in Mario Kart Wii, which I don't remember, but maybe it's because Rosalina is, and Rosalina has the Luma with her. So I may be catching on here, but I don't think you can actually play as the star. And then last but not least, Rosalina, bro, the baddie of the game. Hold on, if you don't know her, I love how I can like edit it in, but I'd rather I'd rather just show you guys from here. Is this girl? Yeah, her. You know about her. She's in like Mario Kart. She's in some other games too, I'm pretty sure. But she was the one, bro. She's like one of the reasons I would keep coming back to the game, because every single time you load in, she's right there to greet you. She gives you like 20 free one-ups every time. She knew what was up. That's my favorite princess out of the three. I hate Peach, and Daisy is growing on me. I mess with her. She's in she's in Smash. I didn't even know she was. And 3D World, Mario Kart, she's in all of it now. But that's where she debuted, bro. Was in Super Mario Galaxy. That's the one. So honestly, it's really cool because every single Mario game where there's like levels and stuff kind of repeats itself after a bit. But the thing about the Galaxy games was really fun because it took the exact same, like whoever thought of that idea first was on their time. They knew what was up. It would have eventually been thought of probably, but whoever first did, you know what's up, because it took the same concept as all the games before it, but just made it in space. Like it literally was the most simple thing, But just because of the keen detail to the gravity changes, to the different like life forms on each planet, like just the things like that, the atmosphere changes, the music changes between which planet, like all of that played a huge part in making it feel like immersive like that, you know, and it made it really special for me compared to like another Mario game. Like I had Super Mario Wii, which was like the 2D platformer game, and that just like doesn't really hit the same. Like it's like cool and whatnot, but all the different worlds are like completely different worlds. And it's like obviously fiction, but for some reason, when you're on the planets, it doesn't feel as fiction, which should not feel, it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that way. It should be the other way around. But for some reason, Super Mario Galaxy, where you're on the planets, jumping from them together, that feels more like real life than the 2D game where it's like you're in Rainbow Land. You know what I mean? Like it, like that could be on Earth, but it's like, dude, that obviously is not real. But for space, it's like we've never been in space, so you never know. Like, does that make sense? Like they were able to make more mundane planets. Like the planets for Super Mario Galaxy were pretty simple, but it was still so special because we've never been up in space. So anything was already cool. But if you're making a Mario game on Earth, you have to make it really, really outlandish because we've already been on Earth. We've already seen such cool things where you have to like really up the notch up. But when it's space and you've never been there, it's like the starting point, you know? So I think that's what made it really pop off, was just because they didn't go over the top. They kept it pretty, you know, low ground and just did what they needed to do. And it really worked. Similar things I've really liked that were also Mario games would be like Paper Mario, because Paper is a really cool concept to put it in too, because it was a 2D game, but then flipping it to paper like really helped, because I think some of it too, you would go back and forth between 3D to 2D, between like the paper and all that. Like they had some really cool concepts up their sleeve I really mess with. But I do think Galaxy will remain number one, right? Because even Super Mario Sunshine was really cool, but it's not as memorable because it takes place on an Earth-like planet. Like the whole entire environment is like stuff you could see on Earth. It's just like shrubbery and houses and lakes and water, which is cool, but it's not memorable because you see all that in real life. But it's like I remember at least like 50 different planets from Super Mario Galaxy because it was so immersive in that fact where it's like you've never been to space. So when you're seeing all these new planets, it's like, whoa, you're going to remember all of them. I don't know. Does that make sense? Let me know. But I'm happy that game was my favorite because I feel like it's helped me picture art in a way where it's like space-like, where it's boundless. And the cool thing about the planets were like a big planet could be next to a little planet, but there's so much room between them, it like doesn't matter. Like you just kind of drop them in wherever, you know? It's like when you're writing a note and you leave like 4 blank lines between like four empty spaces between 2 lines to add emphasis. That's what space feels like. It's like the extra space between the 2 planets adds this like roominess where it's like they each get their own separate little corner. I don't know. But I try to relate it to like the same way where it's like they have room to breathe. You know what I mean? Each planet has its own room to breathe because they're so far spread out, where it feels like it's its own little life form. So I relate that into like art because of the same way you can have the same voice on 2 things, but have them completely different ends of genres, ends of some random spectrum, you know? So the same way planets are on the surface, just 2 planets. You know, on the surface, you can take 2 songs, but when you dig in, it's like, ooh, it's its own whole thing. And you give it its room, you give it its space, all the emphasis it needs. So I try to imagine how much different it would be if I wasn't exposed to some type of game like that. And it probably would be quite different. It is kind of weird because there legitimately has been some times where I use that game as a reference to how I feel about something, which is really weird, but it's just because I feel as if that game really immersed me in a type of experience I won't really get anywhere else. And because I was so young too and got to it helped me process things in some weird way when it's freaking planets and space game. Yeah, I thought it was really cool too because it was also like you take your own time, where a lot of other Mario games are like fast-paced, where it's like you're racing, you're fighting, you're in a battle. Like it's like all these things, it's like you're racing against the clock. But for Super Mario Galaxy, a lot of it was at your own little pace. Some of it, oh my god, it was not. Some of it was timed. Like when they had timed battles, like purple coins, they would have ones where they would time you and be purple coins. Those were the worst. Hated those. But besides those, all the normal ones were pretty much at your own pace, which, because I found a game like that when I was young and really liked it, I think it really helped me when I grew up because everything felt like it was my own little pace. Like when I wanted to make something, I knew I didn't need to rush it. I knew I could just take my time and it would turn out great. And I think games like that really helped make me into that type of person. Yeah, Super Mario 64 is pretty cool too, because you go through like paintings, but it's like almost the same thing. It's like you're going through paintings and you're getting put on these like random lands that aren't connected to anywhere, which could technically be different planets, but it's just not framed in the way that it is a different planet, so you don't like think it is. You just think it's like this random place in the painting. But if you really look at it, they're like the same game. They're both like a 3D open world game where there's different levels that are hidden in different things. But just something about the space thing really took it off for me. I think it's the music too. The music has stuck with me. I listen to the music now still all the time because the music is space-like and the game is space-like, and then all the visuals are space-like. The whole thing just becomes spacey. And I think that is just something that can't really be replicated in something that isn't spacey, obviously. So it made its own little unique thing, and I really messed with that. So I looked up what type of things that they were like setting the bar for, like new boundaries, and I got 5 things listed here, and some of them we already talked about, but it's cool to see that it's like reinforced here. One of them is the gameplay and gravity mechanics. So at the time, it was actually very difficult for them to change the gravity per planet. Like there's times where you jump from one planet to another and the gravity's changing in midair as you're going from one to the other. Like it was probably, at the time, I think it was 2007 the game came out. If not, then 2009. It's one of those. But whenever it came out, it was very difficult at the time for them to do the gravity things. I think this might have been the first game that like really did that. That might even be why they did Space Theme, was to show that off, which is crazy to think that they might have had an idea that they used just to show off their mechanics, but then accidentally created like a really good game just off of that. Like that's kind of funny. Like they used it just to flex. That would make sense too. But another cool thing is I think the sphere of the planets, we were able to go all the way around. That was very difficult because the games were always 2D platformers. There wasn't really any games. If they were 3D, they weren't going around in a sphere. Like that's kind of crazy. Another thing it brings up is level design, where like, yeah, they had very unique mechanics. Like things that would fling you, things that would catch you, things that would launch you. You could fling yourself on different plants. There was just endless amount of things, right? There'd be ones where you're rolling on a ball, like you're trying to balance on something, you're trying to make a goal with something. Like there's so many different types of things that all have to do in space. It's insane. So I think that sets some bar in a way where it's like many puzzles in one instead of just like one base mechanic. The soundtrack is listed too, which is really funny because I was bringing that up, that might actually become a thing, but it does say that it's pretty iconic. So that might literally be why a lot of other people remember it too. Like if someone says it's your favorite game, that might be the reason why. It's because of the freaking music, gang. It was so good. I would have the Wii game on a disc, and then I'd have like a radio next to my bed that could play discs. And I would get the CD Mario Galaxy disc and play it in my radio to listen to the soundtrack. I don't know if it was the same disc that played on the Wii, but for some reason I had the soundtrack on a disc. And I would jam out to that when I'm sleeping. It was great. Visual presentation and art direction. It pushed the Wii hardware to its limits, offering visuals that were stunning at the time. The vibrant art style, combined with fluid animations and cinematic camera work, set new expectations for graphics and presentation in Mario games. Crazy. Yeah, I got really annoyed with the camera movements, but also they were better camera movements than probably what would have happened if they didn't like try hard. So it was annoying, but it was pretty good. It wasn't perfect, but it was well. So especially for its time, it was probably very good. The art style too, like I always forget that. Like I always feel like when they're making a game, they're like, if they want a house somewhere, they just put a house there. I always forget that they like literally design how it looks, like on purpose. I think that's insane. Because when I think about it too, like the starting little home you're at is like so like, it's made very well. Like there is an art style to it that it's like, it's easy to miss. Critical and cultural impact. The game is often cited as one of the greatest video games of its time. Its widespread acclaim reinforced Nintendo's reputation for innovation, influencing future platformers and game design philosophies across the industry. So I imagine if you were making games back then that had to do with platformers, especially if they were 3D, this would have been big news to you. You would have been like, ooh, that's something to look up to. I also think it's fun how they started in space and then eventually did like the world one. Like Odyssey is like literally in the world compared to the other ones that look like they are. That's so crazy. But yeah, anyways, I feel like if they did a space one now, when it's like 10 years in the future, they'd be able to do so much more and that would be really cool. No, it's almost 20 years. Holy, bro. I was like 10 years. Wait, more than 10 years since the second one, which means the first one's about to be 20, which is insane. Wow. But yeah, I remember back in like 2015 there was like rumors of a third one coming out and I was hyped, bro. I remember checking all the time. Like it was like a Playboy Cardi album. Like I was so hyped. I would refresh like forum pages and it never came out and it's been like years. So I kind of gave up. But maybe someday it would go crazy now. But anyways, I just wanted to talk about how that's the best game ever and you can fight me on it. Also, my music name is IJB Luma. IJB and then Luma. But guess where I got Luma from? Leave it down in the comments. Take your wildest guess here. Really put your brain to use. Give me that answer of where I got that name from. You'll never know. But see y'all. Bye. Also, it's because the lore in the game, there's lore that the star is Luma, but hasn't found its home yet. And it gets saved by this one girl. And they go out to search for Luma's mom. But then they end up finding a comet that they stay on together. And they run into other Lumas and create like a family. But then something happens where the main Luma has to sacrifice himself to save the girl and all the other Lumas. So it's a really cool story, but the whole idea is that I'm Luma on my journey, but at some point it's going to come to like an end. And not like me dying, but where like my music and all that, like I'm going to step back and be like, that's it. That's all you get from the Luma name, you know? So I think it's like cool. But that point of graduation is where, like when the Luma gets all the other Lumas and then sacrifices itself to save the other Lumas, like that's going to be me. It's like I'm getting a fan base with this name, but then eventually I'm going to have to retire the name to save the fan base. You know, is that too far into it? But that's where I got my name from. Is that too much thinking, gang? It's not that serious. What am I talking about? See y'all.